Top 10 most viewed stories. Don't forget to write your opinion in the comments. Until then, let's get started. 1. No, you don't look like it. It's a running joke with one of my colleagues that she's my work mom. Anytime I've gotten hurt she helicopters and tells me to go home and take care of myself. She agrees the joke is fitting and has called me her work child. She has children, but they're both single-digit age. One of our other colleagues joked that she's just using me as practice for when her kids are older. She was standing on a step stool to write something on a board. I walked up, asked her how much work she has for me, because her workload usually dictates my workload too. I don't know if she was just trying to be nice or what, but she looked down at me, put her hands on the front of her legs, and gave me that endearing look you'd give to a little kid, just to say she doesn't know yet. Also speaking in that kid interaction voice we all have. I tried to establish my point while being funny. Don't look at me like that. I might look and act like it, but I'm not a 5-year-old. She, with a completely expressionless face, zero attempt at humor, went back to writing on the board as she said, "Well, no, you don't look like one." I didn't say anything but just stood there looking at her for a second. She didn't look back at me or say anything either. My sense of humor might be on the dumb side, but I've always thought I was a mature adult. 2. My wife cheated and now she wants me back. What should I do? My wife had got home from work late, which wasn't unusual for her since she usually had night shifts, but last week she came back sweaty and was acting strange. I decided to check her messages, and that's when I found a string of messages between her and another man. I confronted her about it and she began to cry, saying how sorry she was, but I just got her out the door. Ever since she has been texting me how sorry she was, but I don't think I can forgive her. What should I do? A few hours after this post, I have decided after reading all the comments and advice that I'm going to divorce her. I text her I'm going to divorce her and she just begged me not to, but I decided I'm going through with it. I just can't forgive her. That's it for now. Anything more happens I'll update on this post. Thank you for all the support and comments, it means a lot. 3. Is he lying? Please advise. My husband, 30M, went to a bachelor party last month. He originally told me when he returned that a group went to a strip club, but he wasn't part of it. I was very happy with that and we had a great month of marriage. Backstory: after his bachelor party a couple years ago, I found out about some of the things that went down with strippers and felt extremely hurt. His group hired 2 private strippers who came to their Airbnb. They performed tons of girl-on-girl action with each other, and gave my husband a private lap dance while fully nude. We set very clear boundaries that he would have no part of any strip club or private stripper experiences, because I had basically felt cheated on. Fast forward to a few days ago. I had to use his computer for something and ended up finding a deleted email about lab test results. Logged into that to find that he had been tested for STDs. Upon confronting him, he initially told me that he did it because he had never been tested before and he was just curious. We have 2 little kids together, so lol. Knew he was lying, so he ended up confessing that he went to the strip club, and a stripper grabbed his penis. He was worried that she had probably grabbed several other men that night, so he got tested out of utmost precaution. Are we buying this? He is dumb enough that when extremely guilty he might panic and think that an STD could realistically be transmitted just by hand contact. But since he already lied twice before we landed on the truth, I am not at all convinced. I am thinking he stopped it where it was at least semi-believable. Has anyone ever successfully dragged the truth out of a lying and possibly cheating husband? Let's hear some opinions. 4. Anthropological curiosity: why is he coming back if he is happy with her?
I, 29F, got a Tinder date, 30M, a year ago.
We went eating, and then we went to my apartment, and he stayed the night. It was meant to be a one-night stand, and I was fine with that. He got really interested in me, and we continued to see and text each other very often. We were kind of acting as a couple. We did weekends together, and he even introduced me to his mother, as a friend, nothing more, but come on. Moms are not dumb. He was very special to me, and I started to fall for him. This situationship went on for a month and a half. Then he went on vacation, and suddenly it was radio silent. He did not answer my texts, he just disappeared. Well, I said to myself, it was too good to be true, at least I had a good time, maybe he met another person, let's move on. Weeks after he reappeared. From this point on, he was less special with me, we spent less time together, we were just friends with benefits. He again disappeared, this time for 3 months. During these months, it looks like he met someone else, FB posts. Again he reached out, I was confused, he was supposed to be happy with his girlfriend. Why is he contacting me again? Maybe they broke up? It was not enough time to get over him, and I accepted to have drinks and catch up. One thing led to another, and we ended up at my apartment. A few days ago, I confirmed that he is dating someone, FB posts, and he looks happy. But the guy keeps reaching out to me. I know now that he is with someone else, and out of respect for her and myself, finally, I will never answer his texts. Now it's my turn to go radio silent. I finally found out how to move on. However, I am really curious, let's call it anthropological curiosity, to know why he is still reaching out? Any ideas? 5. Has my GF cheated and had sex with this guy while on a work trip? Found these messages on my GF's phone while she went on a work trip and want to figure out if she went all the way with him. Him.
Hey, do you want to come to my hotel room?
Her.
No, but you can come to mine.
Him.
Okay, I'll come down.
It's like 1:30 a.m. at this point. Her.
Okay, but no funny business.
Him.
Okay, I'll try not to.
Her.
No, I need you to promise me.
Him.
Okay.
Her.
No, like really promise me.
Him.
Okay.
Her.
Okay, knock on my door softly as my work colleague is next door.
Him.
Okay.
Next morning. Him.
Hopefully I didn't annoy you too much last night. Wink emoji.
Her.
My head is pounding.
What does everyone think? 6. I lost my 3 years relationship and my main source of income. I'm a young guy, I'm 22, I just started my own business which is a studio rental for other creators. I've been working it since May and it's been a dream of mine to have my own studio and do all kinds of work. It was a lot of physical work since I did almost everything myself. From removing the tile to grinding the floor, creating sets and painting. I've spent over $8,000 on my half, since I'm associated with a business partner. It was a difficult 2 months. Too difficult to the point it affected my relationship. My GF of 3 years was starting to feel like I wasn't showing her enough attention or love. Which is right because I was too focused building a business to survive out of. But it was something I discussed with her and she agreed and thought she could handle it. But her friends started filling her in with ideas to the point she stalked at my job to be sure I wasn't cheating cause of how many hours I was out working on my studio. Around the end of July. My studio was done. $13,000 was spent. Yeah, I was in debt and then to make it worse my truck had transmission problems and that was $3,800 more out of pocket. Then my GF started questioning our relationship cause I didn't have the time for her and eventually it led to her breaking up with me cause she didn't feel loved. Her friends really put that in her mind because we were perfectly fine before she met them. So I'm $13,000 in debt. My GF of 3 years left me. And to make it worse, my main job let me go because of conflict of interest because I started my own company outside of working hours. But let me say, that job is full of toxicity and no direction. No plan of course and we were just there to please the owners of the company. Exactly their words. I wasn't down to do that for a long time. So I focused on what I wanted to do and what my goals were. That's where I built my own studio and also worked for agency outside of working hours and weekends. We've made good partners and would really do a lot better if I also dedicated my full time like she does. But now the company that fired me wants me back because they need me but I've already reached out to another in the same industry and they're very intrigued to let me become a vendor to them but have to wait for the process. I'd what to do? Keep the same consistent check or really grow my business and marketing agency or go back to my backbone checks in the toxic environment. I have till Monday to decide. In that company I make $3,500, but with the agency and my own peculiar jobs I make $2,000 a month in just weekends and after working hours. Now if I was to dedicate it full time it would be like double. I just really don't know what to do. 7. Creepy woman first date. I was 30, male, and was meeting women on an online dating site. A woman about my age and I connected and since we lived about an hour apart we agreed to meet at a central location for dinner and a drink about halfway between us. I had to work early the next day, so we agreed to meet a little early and not stay too late. Dinner was fine, stayed and had a drink after, no real chemistry. Honestly it was just okay I thought. So I walked her to her car, hugged goodnight, and I drove home. The next morning I was backing out of my garage and a strange car was parked on the other side of my driveway. I got out and looked to find my date asleep in the front seat. At no point did I tell her my address or which part of town I lived in. I didn't wake her, just drove to work. She later texted me and asked what I was up to because she was in the area. I told her I chose to not wake her up, but she needed to stay away from my home and never contact me again. Surprisingly, she listened, as far as I know. 8. My sister died during postpartum and I'm a complete wreck. My 28-year-old sister gave birth to her first daughter 2 weeks ago. I 17F was in the hospital together with my parents and her husband. The birth went pretty smooth, although she was screaming so loud. I was so excited to be an auntie and holding my newborn niece in my arms was a precious moment. Everything seemed fine afterwards. My sister came home about 3 days later and she and her husband stayed with me and my parents as they needed help to take care of the baby. But 2 days after she came home, she was experiencing exhaustion, pain in her body, and she constantly fainting. She kept insisting that she was fine, but our mother said that fainting is not fine and brought her back to the hospital, where they discovered an infection or internal bleeding or both somewhere in her body, and they were unable to treat it in time despite giving her mounds of antibiotics before she passed away 2 days later. A week has passed since, and 3 days since the funeral. I can't stop crying and thinking that if the doctors had noticed that something was wrong, my sister could still be alive. I loved my sister to death. She was my role model growing up. Now I lost her forever and only have my niece, who is completely unaware of what's going on. I'm sad, and angry, and upset, and I miss my big sister so freaking much. I can't talk about this with my friends, and she was my only sibling. My parents aren't helping much as they're also grieving, so I don't know what I'm expecting to get from here, but I'm just a complete freaking wreck. 9. My first, worst and only relationship. I have had my first and last relationship at 15 years old. I met this girl, 15, through friends of friends, and she always was very flirty with me. At the time, I was in a deep depression because of severe bullying and insecurities. I had already accepted the fact that I was unlovable because I was ugly. Then, she came and pulled me out of it. I didn't tell anyone from school, just my family. We got together and my depression almost washed away. She was a very troubled girl, and her ex-boyfriend was abusive and got her addicted to Green and Nick. Reminder, we were 15 at the time. Her older bro had autism and her family was not really stable. I helped her get over her insecurities a bit, but the addiction was still there. I also smoked at the time, but wasn't addicted and didn't do it often. I always wanted a more grown-up kind of relationship, but she didn't like that. She wanted to have a typical teenish relationship, you know what I mean. 1 week in the relationship, we met a lot of times, and we once had intimacy. She had to use birth control because of the abuse, and we both got tested. It was great, it was my first time, and she said I did a good job, Lamau. Anyway, we were doing great about 2 weeks in. My family kinda liked her, but they said she was dumb. She was dumb. Really dumb but lovely. Then, I had to go on a camping trip to an airshow. It was nice, but during that time, she often said she wanted to go get green from her ex. I always said I didn't want that because I was scared. She started to not text back, and when she did, it was very dry. I asked what was wrong and she called me. We were still at the airshow, there was a grunge band in the background and planes everywhere, both my favorite hobbies combined. She hung up and I asked what was wrong. Then she confessed to me that she smoked green with her ex and that they had intimacy. Over text. She didn't say she was sorry one time. I was destroyed. I stood still in the crowd staring at my phone, thinking what I should do now. I tried to not cry. We fought over text and I had a feeling she wanted to cheat on me, because I wanted to give her another chance, but she said something like, okay, but I cheated on you. So she didn't even want another chance. I broke off contact with her and still had to sleep in a tent for 2 days. I couldn't cry. That wouldn't be manly, she said. I asked her what was wrong with me and why she broke up with me, and she said I was perfect, but she only needed me to get over her abusive ex-boyfriend and that I was just a stupid rebound. Then she told me the number of exes she already had. I was shocked. 7. And then she said that was normal for people her age. That couldn't be, I thought. She was my first relationship. After that, I fell into a way worse depression than I had before. She took all my hobbies away from me because I was always reminded of the camping trip when I did them. I couldn't find a job because I didn't have motivation at all and didn't get help from anyone. My school grades dropped as well.
I passed with a 4, that's a C. I started hurting myself and attempting sewer slide by taking an overdose of pills.
Spoiler, it didn't work. I am 19 now and still didn't have a relationship because my insecurities got 10 times worse. In short, have a weird jaw and teeth and have a big forehead. I could find a minimum wage job that hardly pays my bills. I'm underweight because I can't really afford enough food, and the worst part of all, she is rich and successful. She took over her dad's business and makes $8K a month, although she doesn't do a very good job and is still stupid AF. I don't know what I did to deserve this, but I can't do this for much longer. I'm a good person. I didn't do anything too bad. 10. Don't know what to do with my 4-year-long relationship. Hello, I'm new on here and don't know how everything works, but I need to vent, so here I am. Any advice is also highly appreciated. I, 26F, have been in a relationship for 4 years with 26M, I'll name Ben. So Ben and I have been in a long-distance relationship for most of our 4 years due to his studies. Fast forward to today. I'm the kind of person that says when STH is disturbing me. For example, I don't appreciate him liking other females' posts on Instagram, made it clear many times. He understood till last night when I discovered that he liked a girl post of her showing her butt. A girl we already spoke about. So that bothered me. We already weren't in a great spot since I don't feel like he's making much effort in general. So that like was the cherry on the cake for me. I haven't spoken to him for a few days after sending him a screenshot of the post with a applause emoji. I was planning to marry him. I was finally glad I found my person, but now I'm totally unsure. The fact that I clearly discuss what I don't appreciate and he still does it, is highly disrespectful to me. I give him more than what he gives me and I'm really fed up of it all. I stay far away from anything that would hurt his feelings since that's how I want him to act with me as well. I'm the knobs of person that treats PPL the way I wanted to be treated. Till I see how they treat me back and then I change. My problem RN is that I don't know what to do with him. I've realized that he doesn't care about what I tell him. Since he keeps doing it over and over again. I can't marry someone that doesn't respect my feelings. And on the other hand, I don't want to break up with him and start everything from the beginning again with someone new. We are planning for him to move to mine at the beginning of next year and get married. But I can't take this disrespect anymore and don't know what to do. Any advice?